What is the clean fuels, what is the clean energy jobs bill in layperson's terms?
It does a number of fundamental things. It reiterates our commitment as a state to lower emissions ultimately by 80% of 1990 levels by the year 2050. And we do it through a tiered step down that's set forth in the bill. What that means is, as a state, we want to get to around 12 million metric tons of emissions by 2050.
12 million tons a year?
Per year, correct. And what Senator Dembro and all of the legislators and participants in our informational sessions in 2017 and then our work group sessions here last fall learned was that of all the ways to go about that from an economic point of view, the way that looked least traumatic to the economy and most effective over time was the Western Climate Initiative, which is a carbon trading market. The participants are California, Quebec, and Ontario. Those states are not the only countries or states that have carbon pricing systems. In fact, we think that there's a little bit over 40 countries and states that have done something similar and have had success. It's a free market mechanism. It's developed by conservative Republicans back, I think, in the Reagan era to deal with acid rain. California's implemented a system that we can link to. Doesn't mean we have to follow lockstep everything they've done, but we can link with the two Canadian provinces in California in a way that is the least cost method for reducing emissions. And that's the type of program that we've conceived and that the bill lays out.
I'm not an expert on this at all, and I skipped a lot of my economics classes because I was editor of the paper in college, and that didn't precedence. And the classes were first thing in the morning. and I regret that. True confession.
As we all do.
But how does that system actually work? How does it reduce carbon if people get a permit in order, to or buy the right to produce? Mm-hmm. What does that do to reduce production?
It's a great question. I hear it a lot. The fundamental mechanisms is that we place that cap. And the cap represents, if you can imagine in your mind, on a graph, it has a downward trajectory from today to 2050. And each compliance period, the agency that implements the cap, which in this case will be DEQ, figures out how much emissions a producing entity or industry will be allowed. And that industry has or that company has a number of ways that they can comply. The first is they can tweak, change existing operations to get under the cap, find some efficiencies in what they're doing, or maybe buy technology and implement new technology that helps them get under the cap. They'll figure out what's cheapest for them. Another mechanism is to buy markets through the auctions that WCI holds periodically. I believe California is holding the auction once a quarter right now, and there's talk of going to once a month. Another way is to buy credits that other companies have. That if they are not generating emissions, they may obtain credits that they're able to trade on the market. Or over time, companies may bank credits. They may buy them and bank them, and then as they need them, release them onto the market. A third compliance mechanism is offset credits, and that's where a company may purchase into a project that is maybe a forest carbon project where several thousand acres of forest land is managed a little bit differently than we typically do, maybe a longer harvest, reduced harvest schedule, thinning, special attention to riparian areas. Those offset projects are currently run by carbon registries, and they have rules that are attached to them, and a company can buy into that and use those offset credits to comply with their obligation up to 8% of their total compliance obligation. So the cap is the most important concept, and the mechanisms or ways that an entity that's regulated can get under that cap are varied, and that's sort of the beauty of the system, is it allows some flexibility to find what works for that industry or that company to comply.